So glad you're with us. High school football is back. Another matchup we are looking at now as the Strasburg Rams hosting the Skyline Hawks out of Front Royal, Virginia. Now joining me, first year head coach of the Strasburg Rams, Tripp Lamb. Coach, thank you for your time. First and foremost, it has been quite some time since the last time we've spoken in person. Just take me through how the rest of your camp went, any scrimmages you had, just all together. How have you liked the progress your team has made from that point up until now?
The kids are coming, with the right attitude every day. I would say that we are, kind of right where we expect to be at this point in the year, which is a long way from where we need to be. But the guys are coming in working hard every day. The staff's putting in the work. The kids are putting in the work. And, for leading up to the first game, I feel like, we're right on par with where we want to be. I would like to see us be a little bit more physical than we were in our second scrimmage. We went down to Riverheads and, they definitely showed us what championship football is all about. And they punched us in the mouth. And I'm hoping that we can kind of, learn from that and be a little bit more physical here in week one.
So just honing in on the two scrimmages you had, as your first year as a head coach for this Rams team, sort of what was your evaluation process within those two scrimmages, and sort of some things that really stood out to you that you want to fine tune and expand on come week one and the rest of the regular season?
Well, in the first scrimmage, it was a little jamboree with Brentsville and Buffalo Gap. And I definitely felt like, for the first scrimmage, we executed pretty well. There was obviously, mistakes made, but we didn't make a ton of mental errors. We didn't really run a whole lot of plays. We just wanted to run some plays that we felt like that we could compete with, and some plays that we felt like we could execute at a high level. And I think we did that. We got a lot of looks at a lot of different guys at a lot of different positions. So that's always really good to get, kind of get a feel for who can do what and where they can be. And then last week against Riverheads, Riverheads kind of did to us what they've been doing to just about everybody for about the past 15 years. And it was 21-7 at halftime. And it's a scrimmage, so it's a learning experience. And they did to us exactly what I think we needed to have happen to us, and that was just get punched in the mouth. And so we could get a look at where we want to be. Our kids know that obviously what Riverhead's has going on in the past 15 years or so. That's what everybody's wanting to be. And it was good for us to see that live and see that in person, and for that, us to get punched in the mouth, because I think we'll definitely grow from it.
So looking ahead to your matchup this Thursday against Skyline, it must be good knowing you have some veteran leadership on this team in Braden Huff at your quarterback position, Lucas Martinez as well. Having those two guys and maybe some other returners in there that I have not mentioned, what is that like to have them, sort of your core group of guys there for you to help out when needed, sort of coach up the younger guys, if you will? What is that like having them going into week one?
Well, we obviously lost a lot from last year's team, numbers wise, and we lost a lot of quality players last year. But we were really senior and sophomore heavy last year, so it was almost like you were either a senior or you were a sophomore. I think we only started 2 or 3 juniors last year off the team. So the sophomore class last year is now the junior class this year. So even though they're still underclassmen, a lot of those guys have a lot of experience. And some of them, 3 or 4 of them, even started as freshmen. I think we have 3, maybe 4 guys that are juniors that started as freshmen, and they're all on the line. So I would say that the line has really been the group that's been leading us so far, because we're returning 4 or 5 starters up front in the back. And although I think we're definitely deep at the running back position, none of those guys started last year at the running back position. So actually Lucas started last year, but the rest of them, we got 6 or 7 guys that we're going to be rotating in at running back, and only one of them started last year. So there's a lot of youth in the backfield, and I think up front's definitely the people that are going to lead us. And then at signal caller, obviously, like you mentioned, Braden Huff being there, he makes the right checks. He can change the plays. He can do the things that we need to do in order to be successful, and he can run it at a high level, and that's what we're looking for. So that's definitely a good thing as well.
You mentioned the offensive line and the style of offense you run, having the most experience up there, if you will. The offensive line, key part to your offense, because predominantly a run-heavy offense, the Strasburg Rams do. I would imagine you're sort of relying on the offensive line to help out to continue the effectiveness of your running game.
Yeah, obviously we're 95% run. So our offensive line is obviously the key cog there and our success running the football. We try to use some quick hitters. We try to use some misdirection and things like that to try to fool the defense. But ultimately it comes down to how well that those guys up front are going to be blocking and how physical they're going to be, and especially making, mistake-free football, because, football is the ultimate team game. You've got 11 guys, and if you've got 10 of them doing exactly what they're supposed to do, it only takes one guy to make a mental mistake to screw the whole play up. So it takes, there's a lot of moving parts, especially up front. And, we're glad that, we've got the guys that we have, because they do a really good job.
So looking ahead to the matchup at Skyline, week 1 is interesting. I've heard from other coaches in this area, because you're not quite sure what the opponent brings to the table. But being Skyline, they're sort of a local school out of Front Royal. What have you seen, and what are you maybe trying to stop them from doing come Thursday?
The thing that jumps out to me on film and watching them is how explosive they are at the skill positions, especially running back and receivers. They're going to have 2 or 3 receivers that are extremely skilled and extremely athletic. Their running back's very skilled and very athletic, and he catches the ball really well. So I would say, keeping the explosive play under wraps, because they're a team that they, any given snap, they got 3 or 4 guys that could, switch ends of the field real quick and for a long touchdown. And, just keeping the long play, the big play under wraps. And that's kind of what we've always kind of identified at defensively, is trying to make the other team put together a really good long drive. And if they can do that, then, they're probably pretty good. And, at some point you got to step up and make a play. But trying to take away the big play and trying to make them make long drives is kind of, what we're going to try to do, which is what we've always tried to do.
Absolutely. So last but not least, Coach, obviously you've been with the Rams program under Coach Roller for quite some time, but now getting the head coaching nod, this is your first season. Are there any sort of emotions going through your mind before your first regular season game as head coach leading this Rams football team?
Just making sure that we're prepared. I mean, I haven't had time to really think about anything other than just trying to get us prepared from a preparation standpoint. That's where all my focus has been. I really haven't thought much about, anything as far as anything else other than just making sure our team's ready. I mean, that's where my focus has been. And I'm sure at some point, after the season, I'll look back and, think about some things. But right now, I'm just focused on making sure that we're ready to play on Thursday night.
Once again, football is back. One of the matchups on Thursday, Strasburg hosting Skyline once again. Tripp Lamb, the head coach of the Strasburg Rams. Coach, really appreciate your time. Looking forward to working with you all season, sir.
Thank you very much.